Hey guys, how you doing today? What I wanted to do today is run through a scenario if you were going to choose to either just use an RSP or just use a TFSA over your lifetime, how is that going to work out? And I found these results to be quite interesting. So let's check it out. All right, so I have to always make some assumptions when I'm doing something like this. This isn't going to be perfect because I'm not really taking inflation to account, and taxes and tax brackets are going to change in the future. So this might not actually make sense in the future depending on what happens. However, let's look at somebody that's making $100,000 a year. They're 30 years old and they can save $10,000 a year into their RSP. And we'll compare that to somebody doing the same thing with their TFSA. We'll try and make it equal, and we'll look at the results of what a retirement would look like for each of these people. And you'll see that maybe the TFSA comes out on top. So it's pretty interesting. Now, what I did was I looked at roughly the average marginal tax rate in each province of somebody making $100,000 a year, roughly 32%. So if you put $10,000 into your RSP, you're going to get a refund of $3,200, which means that that equivalent person would be putting $6,800 into their TFSA. Now, all things being equal from there, you just say, okay, we're going to do that from 30 until 65, not increasing their contributions. Nothing like that is happening. Somebody does that with their RSP, and they get a 6% rate of return over those 35 years. They're going to have $1,114,000 in their RSP at the age of 65. The same person that's saving now $6,800 into their TFSA and getting 6% is going to have $757,000 in their TFSA at the age of 65. Hope that makes sense. So if you're putting $10,000 in your RSP, it's only $6,800 out of your pocket. So that's why it's the same amount at $6,800 going into the TFSA. Now, what we're going to do is assume that you're going to reduce your risk in retirement a little bit, and your rate of return from 65 until 90 is going to be 4.5%. That's just a number that I pulled out of thin air. However, most people sort of go a little bit more conservative as they age. So coming out of the RSP, if you weren't increasing that, in today's dollars, you're getting $75,150 that's available to come out of your RSP that will get it down to zero at age 90. And what you can get coming out of your TFSA that has that value of 757 is 51,102 coming out. But now we have to remember that all of the money coming out of the RSP is fully taxable, and all of the money coming out of the TFSA is completely tax-free. And that's where these numbers start to show, because now Brian's going to have to put up some graphs on the screen. We're looking at today's dollars. Let's assume that you're making $100,000 a year. Well, you're going to get full CPP at 65, so that's $16,368 per year. You're going to get full OAS, which is $8,560. And then in the RSP comparison, you're getting $75,150. So your total income is $100,078, which is completely 100% all taxable income. On the other side, you've got the TFSA, so you've got the same amount of CPP and OAS, plus the $51,102 coming out of your TFSA, but your only taxable income is the CPP and the OAS. So your taxable income on that side is 24,928, and your taxable income on the RSP side is $100,078. So then I looked at the average tax rate of each province based on those two incomes. And this could change in 35 years. What I'm saying is this is probably going to change. But in today's world, average tax rate, depending on the province, and we can show each province's percentage on the screen, is you're going to pay an average tax of about 24.8% on that $100,000 in Canada. So after tax, you're left with $75,278. Now, with the tax on just the CPP and OAS income, your taxable income is going to be just over 2%. So you're paying about $2,060 on average in Canada on that income, leaving you with an after-tax income of $73,970. So the RSP slightly wins here, right? It wins by like $1,500 or whatever that is. Not even $1,300, basically. So is that worth it to have that extra headache of the RSP? I'm starting to think that no, it probably isn't, because there's a few things to consider. However, there is one danger of going all TFSA, which I'm going to talk about in a sec. But it's really hard to find out GIS numbers right now. But if your only taxable income that's going against GIS is your CPP, then you are still going to get a little bit of GIS, which will probably make up for that shortfall. So they're basically going to be almost directly equivalent. Plus, if you have a big expense in retirement, whatever, you've got to buy a car or you want to go on a big trip, you don't have to pay more tax than you want because you needed more money in X year over the other one. So that's one of the reasons why the TFSA actually might work better. Plus, you're going to have low income on paper. So like I said, you'll probably get GIS. You'll probably get more government benefits because even though you're not poor, you actually kind of look poor as far as they're concerned, which is kind of nice. You will not have any estate tax because all of that can go to your estate completely tax-free. Something a lot of people with large RSPs worry about is dying and then having the government take 50% of it. So that's better. One of the problems, though, is that the TFSA is easy access compared to the RSP. So you've got an RSP, you don't want to touch it because you've got to pay tax to take it out. But if you're, building and then at 50 years old, you're like, oh, I need money and this is really easy to get, so you can take that out, that might actually hurt you because you're like, this is just really easy to get because I wanted to buy my golden jet ski when I was 52 and, was having a midlife crisis or whatever. So the easy access could be dangerous if you're not really that good with money. So you kind of have to worry about these things of being like, should I take access away from myself? The other thing to consider with the RSP is that if you are married, you do have a spouse, then your tax bill is going to be lower once you start riffing because you can split that income with your spouse. So your tax bill is actually going to make it work better. So in a single person scenario, this makes sense. But if you're a couple, the RSP is going to work a little bit better. But, there are a lot of advantages from what I'm seeing to just saying, you know what, the TFSA room is enough. If you have enough time, you can build a great, basically tax-free retirement plan at a young age just by maximizing your TFSA. So I would suggest that it's something to at least consider rather than the RSP. So, I still like RSPs. They are great. The tax deferred growth is good. Group RSPs where they match and you can get free money is awesome. All of those things, there are advantages to having it. However, TFSA might be king here. I don't know. What are your thoughts? I think I'd go for it. Cheers.